So, you've been bitten by the motorcycle bug, but you've got no bike, you've got no gear, and you've got absolutely no clue on where to even begin the whole process. Well, don't worry, we've all been there. I know exactly how you feel because I was a brand new road rider back in 1988. And over those past whole lot of years, I've learned a thing or two about what it takes to start riding safely, confidently, and most importantly, with a big smile on your face. And now, I'm here to help you take that first step and help you enter the incredible world of motorcycling. So let's get into it. All right, hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Steve Sleepy, and today we're taking another listener email. This one comes from Tim Watersford, and Tim writes, "Hey, your top tips for staying alive was an awesome video, but I gotta be honest, I haven't bought a bike yet, I have zero gear, and I have zero motorcycle experience. In fact, I've never even sat on one. I was wondering if you had any recommendations for a brand new rider like me who can't wait to get into motorcycling." Well, Tim, welcome to motorcycling, and I think we can probably help you out around here. But before I get into my tips, this goes universally for anybody in the United States thinking about getting into motorcycle riding. I cannot recommend this enough. The thing you want to do is look up the Motorcycle Safety Foundation's Riders Course and sign up for it. It's been around since 1973. It hit Ohio in 1988, a year after I got my license. So I didn't even know about it at the time, but I really wish I did. And by 2000, I think they're in all 50 states. And in pretty much every major city, you can find a Motorcycle Safety Foundation Riders Course. And the greatest part about this is they've developed curriculum designed to teach new riders how to safely ride a motorcycle. You have instructors that have trained, been certified, etc., and you can't beat it. And then here's the extra bonus. Some of the places, like Cleveland has, I think, 2 that do this. When you sign up, you can use their motorcycle. So when you're learning all these maneuvers and you're doing the slow speed things and stuff where you might tip over, use their bike. That way you don't even have to worry about scratching your bike or doing anything. When you finish the class, you actually get your license. And you might not think that's a big deal, but if you have to go and take the motorcycle test, they're pretty sporadic. They're not every single day. You have to sign up weeks in advance. Sometimes if you get a crappy instructor, they'll fail you for the most ridiculous thing. I had to take it twice because of a DMV error. And the second time, it took me 3 months to get it. And I had been riding for 15 years at that point. So the test wasn't the problem. Just getting to it, getting to a day of availability was available to take the test. So anyways, getting through the motorcycle riding course, you'll end up with skills, you'll end up with the license, and you won't even hurt your bike. So that's the big one. If you stopped watching the video right now, I'd be fine with that. Go check it out. Go to the website, it describes everything. They even have advanced riding courses, dirt bike riding courses, all kinds of stuff. Their whole organization is set up to make sure that you become a safe motorcyclist and eventually a better motorcyclist. All right, so we're gonna assume that you went ahead and signed up for the MSF course and you're gonna take that and that's gonna be your main form of education. And now I'm just gonna add a little supplement to it so that when you get there, you're a little more prepared. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure you understand the layout and controls of a motorcycle. Fortunately for you, in 1972, they were all standardized, so pretty much all bikes sold in the USA are going to have the same layout. Your throttle's the right hand, your front brake is also the right hand, your clutch is the left hand, your left foot is your gear selector, and your right foot is your rear brake. Now, when it comes to high beams, low beams, and all that, they're usually on the same side. So your turn signals will be on the left, your high beam, low beam selector will be on your left. The right is usually your on and start button, and then maybe like a mode switch or something like that. And then your speedometer and tachometer. That's pretty much the layout of a bike. If you need to, Google to find out what each of those things do, but you definitely want to know that. And since 1975, all the bikes are universal, so once you learn that, you can jump on any bike and at least know what's going on. All right, the second tip is assuming that you've already got your license, you got a bike, and you're going out to ride. Or if you have a dirt bike or something, you're practicing in a backyard. But a backyard or a parking lot, this is huge. You want to get to know your motorcycle. You want to practice low speed handling. You don't want to be the first time that you have to slam on your brakes at 5 miles an hour to be in an actual situation where you have to slam on your brakes at 5 miles an hour. I can tell you from experience because that's how I crashed my first motorcycle. So go to a parking lot, try to turn real tight, try to go as slow as you possibly can. go up to 10 or 15 miles an hour and apply the brakes and see how they feel. And then slowly get to the point where you can stop pretty abruptly without crashing. You're going to want to know that your front brake is about 75% of your braking. So you want to go to your front brake first. And then when you add the rear, it adds a lot. Now both things are clamped down and they're helping you stop. So it is really, really good to get used to using both brakes at the same time. Just familiarize yourself with the controls and operations of a motorcycle. Do it in a parking lot. If you have a dirt bike or a pit bike in a backyard or something, that can translate a little bit. Not so much with the traction and things, but at least you'll understand the bike. But I can't stress this enough. Before you go out there and start going crazy, spend some time getting to know your motorcycle. All right, this third tip for new riders, this one's pretty interesting because you're kind of nervous when you're on the bike out, you're in the wild and you're kind of getting there, but the thing is, relax. Being nervous, being too tight on a bike can cause you all kinds of problems. So when you get on the bike, don't grab the insides of the grips. Put your hands in the middle. Keep a nice relaxed grip on the bike with your arms. You don't want your arms stiff, you want them relaxed and chill. If you follow this advice, it'll help you turn smoother, it'll help you brake smoother. Basically, anything on a motorcycle that you can do smoothly, like instead of grabbing the brakes, grab the brakes. When you're turning, don't turn, turn. If you just relax and keep it smooth, eventually when you get good, it actually makes you faster, it keeps you safer, and actually it keeps you more comfortable too. You'll see as you get more and more comfortable on your bike and you relax more and more, things hurt less, you get less cramps and things because you're not, you're just like, yeah. And if you practice like that, even when you eventually get to challenge yourself and you're pushing yourself a little harder, maintaining that relaxed feel on the bike lets your brain also be relaxed and think through things and you don't make any rash decisions. So good body position and stay relaxed. That would be my third tip. All right, coming in at number 4, this one is great for new riders, but it's actually a great tip for all riders, especially with people on cell phones and people just distracted in their cars, self-driving cars, all the different things, but ride aggressively. And when I say that, I'm not saying go out and do wheelies and do break the law or anything like that. I'm not saying not to do that either. I'm just saying that's not this point. But what I mean by ride aggressively is when you're riding your motorcycle, always be in control. You want to look and be watching. Don't trust cars for anything. If you're going to take this lane and there's a car there, don't just assume they're going to stay in that lane. Make sure in your peripheral you're watching it. If you see cars bunching up, I said this in my last video, get out of there, get away from them. This is one of the biggest tips that can help save you from getting in situations where it's not your fault, but you end up getting hit or something like that. So the further away you can be from cars, when you can find a pocket, that's great. If you see 2 or 3 cars bunched up, in fact, let me give you a story. A little while ago, I lived in Cleveland Heights and I worked in Mentor, Ohio, about a 25-minute commute. And there's a 25-mile-an-hour road that went down. And the one morning I was commuting to work and I looked over and there was a guy literally reading a newspaper on his steering wheel. And I was going to go past him on the right, but there was a car there and the woman was putting on lipstick and the car in front of that guy was texting. So I just blasted through all 3 of them at about 45 miles an hour, got in front of them, and as soon as I got in front of him, there was a cop sitting in the parking lot. So I just pulled over. I mean, he saw me dead nuts and I was doing almost 50. So he came up and he's asked me what the hurry was, and I explained to him, I'm like, look man, this dude was reading a newspaper, this lady was putting on lipstick, and that dude was texting. I thought to maintain my safety and stuff, I needed to get out of that situation. The cop said, I agree with your assessment of that situation, so be safe and have a good morning. And that was it, because he understood that I was trying to protect myself and I wasn't being an idiot. So again, ride defensively but aggressively. All right, getting us to the halfway point at number 5. And this one, a lot of people don't think about this, especially when you're new riding. Check your weather report. If you get out a couple hours away from home and you don't really have a lot of experience, maybe you don't have a lot of rain gear or anything like that, and you get stuck in a monsoon, 1, you're gonna be miserable, and 2, it can be dangerous. Riding in the rain is a whole nother skill set that you definitely need to learn, but probably not in your first year when you're just trying to learn how to ride on dry cement. So it's pretty simple. Everybody has a cell phone. Check the weather. Make sure you're not going to get stuck in a storm because you might need some extra skills you just don't have yet. All right, bringing us over the hump to number 6. I talked about this in my other safety video, but this is a huge one for beginning riders because a lot of times they're so excited to get out, they don't do it. So make sure you do a pre-ride check. Nothing too complicated. Check the PSI of your tires. The tire manufacturer has slapped a number on the side of your sidewall that tells you the optimum pressure to have your tires at, and believe it or not, that being 5 or 6 PSI off can change the handling of your bike so much that you won't recognize it. So that's a simple one. Always, if you're gonna go out, check your tire pressure. Check your chain, make sure it's not binding or anything like that. The last thing you wanna do is have a jammed chain to cause you to skid and wreck or anything. And then give the bike a once-over. Make sure nothing's falling off, make sure your mirrors are tight, everything's ready to go. And that way, you give yourself at least the best chance of not having an unexpected incident. Obviously, anything can happen at any time, but giving it that once-over gives you a better percentage of not having an issue. All right, coming in at number 7 is something that we kind of went over earlier, but I think it's so important that it's going to have its own tip number. And that is learn how to properly brake on your motorcycle. That's one of the biggest things that guys don't really try or do. Go to a parking lot. Like I said earlier, like you want to start slow and kind of learn your bike, feel your brakes, etc., etc. But as you get more comfortable, go to a bigger parking lot and see if you can get up to 25, 30 miles an hour and slowly try to stop shorter and shorter. Now, don't go crashing and throwing your bike down the parking lot, but this is a skill that you definitely want to build up, because at some point, I mean, hopefully never, but I can guarantee you at some point, even in your first year, you're gonna have to slam on your brakes. You know this from driving a car. There's always idiots out there. I'm not saying any of you are the idiots. It's all those other guys. But you need to know how to stop your bike. You wanna know how to stop your bike before you get into a situation where you have to know how to stop your bike. This one has a lot to do with cornering, but pretty much always look where you want to go. I see so many new riders get into turns, and maybe the turn's a little tighter than they thought it was going to be, and they immediately look to the side, and what happens? They go right off the road. You'll find every good instructor will tell you wherever you look is where you're going to go. And you'll see this. You'll see how smooth your turns get if you look all the way through the turn. When you enter a nice big sweeper, your eyes should already be about 3/4 of the way through it, and so you're pulling yourself through by looking forward. Now you're gonna say, but then I can't see what's in front of me on the road. Well, that's what you have to do. You have to get used to kind of scanning and looking up. So as you're going to the point of looking, you're also looking at the road to see if there's anything in there. Is there a pothole, tar snakes, anything? So it takes skill. So when you see these guys ripping in the canyons and stuff, and they're doing 100 miles an hour through these crazy turns, they've developed the skills to look ahead, look through the turn, all while monitoring the road at the same time. And when they don't get it right, we get to see crash videos. And then a secondary part to that tip is, besides looking through the turn, make sure you know and understand counter steering. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole process of doing it. There are great certified instructors out there that can give you step-by-step ways to learn how to counter steer. But the basic gist is, if you want to go left, you don't turn the bars left, you push right. It sounds weird, but it makes sense when you're on the bike. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of certified instructors on YouTube. I highly recommend going and checking them out, or even better, going to a course, like an MSF course, and they will teach you how to counter steer. But it is very, very important, and you really can't ride a motorcycle without knowing how to do it. Coming at number 9 is a topic that most young guys hate, and that's mirrors. I know a lot of the young guys like to take the mirrors off the sport bikes because of aesthetics and it looks cool. And I mean, I love race bikes. I love super bikes. I admit it looks cool sometimes without mirrors. But the reality of it is, mirrors help you so much stay safe on a motorcycle. You're a tiny sliver in traffic. Being aware of what's behind you, what's coming up behind you, what's going on to your left, to your right, can I get over in the lane, etc. Turning your head sometimes, if you have all your gear on, you can only get so far. So that mirror's right there and you can make sure there's nobody behind you before you hit them, etc. So I can't stress it enough. Part of riding is using your mirrors. You constantly want to be scanning your mirrors to make sure that you're in the clear. So aesthetically, deal with it. I would say run mirrors, learn how to use them, check your blind spots regularly, and that'll help you stay way safer. As you develop as a new rider and you get a group of friends to ride with, one of the things that you should do is develop hand signals. Now, there are some general ones, like all the traffic ones apply, your right, your left, stop, that kind of stuff. But for instance, the guys that I ride with, if we see a cop coming up, it's the old tap the hat like that, tap your helmet. And that can save you, man. If you're not, you're looking this way, paying attention, your buddy sees a cop parked in the side over there, you're just about to rip or do something and you see the tap on the helmet, great way to not get a ticket. Each group has their own kind of thing, so definitely look into it, but learn the hand signals, man. Then if you get out front and you see something coming up, you can save people. A lot of times if there's something in the road, people will shake their leg on the side that there's something on the road. That can save a million people. If you see a big smelly skunk dead there and the other guys, there's 20 guys behind you, throw your leg, wiggle it, show them that the skunk's there. And now they get to avoid it. Nobody gets to hit it. Nobody falls because of it. And more importantly, nobody smells like dead skunk all day. So hand signals can be important. So it's just something I think is a great tip. So learn them. Well, that was my 10 tips. I'm sure you're wondering why I didn't talk about the first motorcycle. Well, getting a first motorcycle is such a personal thing, and there's so many different options. Where do you live? What are your roads like where you live? How big of a person are you? But what I can say is you don't want to get a 1000cc sport bike. You don't even want to get a 600cc sport bike. What you want to get as a brand new rider is something with a low seat, something that you can feel very comfortable, that doesn't feel like it's going to tip over, something that's not too heavy for you to pick up because eventually you are going to drop it. But here's the other thing. For your first bike, and this is a personal thing, you might hate this advice, but I would avoid a sport bike. The sport bike position is more aggressive. And here's the real problem with them. When you are just learning how to ride a motorcycle, especially with the slow speed stuff in a parking lot, chances are you might drop the bike. And when I say that, I mean like you're stopped and you're like, oh, and you fall over. Well, on a standard bike, say like a Suzuki TU 250 or a Honda Rebel 250, you might get a scratch on the exhaust pipe. Maybe the bar end gets a ding. But if you were on like a CBR 300 and you drop it just like that, chances are you're breaking fairings. And if you've ever had to buy fairings, they're not $5. So I'm just saying, until you have the skills where you feel confident that you're not going to fall over in a parking lot, you're kind of used to the bike, you know how to move it around the garage and do things like that, I'd avoid bikes with expensive repair bills. And then here's the other thing. A lot of beginner bikes around the 250cc, 300cc range, like the bikes I mentioned, and there's many, many more, they're big enough that most people, unless you're like a super large football player or something, can ride them comfortably, and they're fast enough that you won't get attacked by traffic. But here's the really cool part. They generally go from $1,500 to $2,000, and then when you're done with it, you can sell it for $1,500 to $2,000. I've seen the same Suzuki TU 250 be sold to 15 different people over the years for $1,500. And then this guy uses it, rides it, goes, takes his test, sells it to this guy. This guy rides it for a few months, goes, takes his test, sells it to that guy. All right, that's what I had for you today. Tim, I hope that helped you out. If you have any other questions, you can email us at motostoriesandmore@gmail.com. And when we get a good one, we're happy to answer it. So hey, if you thought that helped you, if you found that entertaining and you liked it, throw me a subscribe, maybe throw a like on the video. We try to get these out about once a week, more if we can. And remember, if it works, it ain't dumb. We'll see you on the next one.